But let's of course start with this big explosive story that's come in from South America, where after Venezuela, Donald Trump has now expanded his stream of attacks on Colombia's leadership and has reignited the threat of high tariffs on this Latin American nation. Now, Trump's remarks on Colombia's president has triggered a series of retaliatory statements from his counterpart Gustavo Petro following the drug trafficker jibe about Petro and a decision by Trump to freeze millions of dollars in terms of aid. Now, Gustavo Petro has lashed out at the American president and has said that Trump is, quote-unquote, not the king of Colombia. Listen in.
Since we don't matter to them at all, they treat us with rudeness and slander because we have to obey. Trump said Colombia is out of control. Of course it's out of control from his control. In a democracy, a government is under the control of the people, not of Trump. He is not a king in Colombia. We don't accept kings here, period. He can talk to me, but as equals, between true Republicans, and there's no problem. I spoke with Biden 4 times. But to give us orders? No, sir. He doesn't come in here.
Now, the Trump-Petro clash has threatened to hinder long-standing relations between the United States and Colombia. Now, in the past, both countries have joined hands in fighting against drug cartels. But Trump's comments about Gustavo Petro signal a substantive shift in these ties. The spat and the looming tariff threat has come just months before the next presidential elections in Colombia, and analysts say that the incumbent president, who is barred from running in future elections, could benefit from this spat and could use it to garner domestic support for himself. Now, in the midst of this widening rift, Venezuela has publicly supported Colombia. The defense minister, Vladimir Padrino, has said that Venezuelan forces stand with Colombia should the need ever arise.
Colombia
must know that it can count on the Bolivarian National Armed Forces. The people of Colombia must know that they have on their side moral and physical support and deployment of our force in our territory to defend against all threats that loom over the border.
The latest comments from Venezuela's top leadership has come at a time when the Trump administration has targeted several Venezuelan vessels off its coast, while the United States has identified its targets as drug traffickers. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has slammed the American military for its aggression in the Caribbean waters. All right, now to give us more insights in terms of what is in fact unfolding in this spat between Donald Trump and the leaders in the Latin American nations, we're joined in this broadcast by Mr. Elias Ferrer, who is the founder of Orinoco Research and also a political and an economic analyst. Mr. Ferrer, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this broadcast, and we're on all the way from Caracas in Venezuela. Now, I want you to weigh in on what Donald Trump has now said about Gustavo Petro, calling the president of another nation to be an illegal drug dealer. This is similar kind of language that is also used on the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro as well. In your assessment, how is this being viewed by the people in the Latin American nations?
Yeah, so actually this is very interesting because a minute ago we were all talking about Trump possibly intervening militarily inside Venezuela, and actually there were many people even in Venezuela who were happy with this idea, right? Like they said, okay, so the US is gonna finally liberate the country from Maduro, whether they were right? But there were many people who were kind of hopeful of that. But in Colombia, we're speaking about someone who was clearly elected. You can't really accuse Gustavo Petro of being a dictator in any way. So actually, it's kind of creating a lot more backlash. So Trump is creating a lot more rejection in the whole region by saying it's not only Maduro, who many call a dictator, but actually an elected leader as well is coming under attack, right? So it's actually making this military interventionism of Trump in Latin America way more unpopular than it was already. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, what he said in the case of Colombia also stands true in the case of Venezuela as well, because he said something very similar. Now, Donald Trump could be addressing his own constituency, his domestic constituency, but by trying to do what he's doing, do you think he is in many ways undermining the relationship that he's had with a nation like Colombia, which in the past has had a very good equation with the United States?
Oh, yes. I mean, this is definitely undermining this relationship. Colombia was one of the top allies of the United States in the region for many decades. It's the official category is like a major non-NATO ally, I believe, right? And I think it was even going to be some kind of NATO observer. So this is a country that has a lot of cooperation with the United States in many ways, like trade, military cooperation. So it's very important, especially when you're trying to do something with Venezuela, right? Is the neighbor that shares the longest border with Venezuela. So if you want to intervene militarily in that country, you need at least Colombia, right? You can't pick a fight with both at the same time.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Petro, for joining us from Caracas and getting us that perspective there.